Billionaire CEO was getting married. Then his past walked in with two secrets he could not deny. Hello, viewer. Thanks for joining us. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments, along with the city you're watching from. Now let's continue with the story. The sound of her heels on marble echoed through the cathedral like gunshots. Barbara Martinez had spent 10 years building walls around her heart, 10 years raising the twins he never knew existed, 10 years becoming the woman she needed to be. But seeing Stephen Walsh in that pristine white tuxedo, about to promise forever to someone else, ignited a fury she had buried deep. Her children deserved better than being his dirty secret. They deserved to know their father, even if he had thrown them all away. The wedding guests turned as she walked down that aisle, not in white, but in power. And when she reached the altar, when she looked into those familiar grey eyes that had once held her world, she knew this moment would shatter everything again. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. The minister's words hung in the air of St. Matthew's Cathedral like a challenge. Barbara Martinez stood in the back of the church, her hands trembling as she gripped the ornate wooden doorframe. 200 guests filled the pews, their faces turned toward the altar where Stephen Walsh, billionaire CEO of Walsh Industries, stood beside his 25-year-old bride-to-be. 10 years since he had forced her to sign those divorce papers with threats that still echoed in her nightmares. 10 years since she had fled Chicago with nothing but the clothes on her back and twins growing in her womb. 10 years of building herself into the successful marketing executive she was today, of sleepless nights and fierce determination, of explaining to two 9-year-old children why they had never met their father. "Speak now," the minister repeated, his voice carrying through the cathedral's vaulted ceiling. Barbara's legs moved before her mind could stop them. Her burgundy dress, conservative but elegant, stood out against the sea of pastels and navy suits as she walked down the center aisle. The click of her heels on the marble floor created a rhythm that matched her racing heartbeat. Whispers rippled through the congregation like wildfire. Stephen's bride, a stunning blonde named Melody Harrington, turned with confusion written across her face. But it was Stephen's expression that made Barbara's chest tighten. His grey eyes, the same ones that had once promised her the world, went wide with recognition and something that looked like terror. "Barbara?" His voice cracked, barely audible above the growing murmur of guests. She reached the altar, her chin held high despite the tremor in her hands. "Hello, Stephen. What are you doing here?" Melody's voice was sharp, her blue eyes darting between them. "Who is this woman?" Barbara turned to face the congregation, her voice carrying clearly through the cathedral. "I am Barbara Martinez, Stephen's first wife, the one he threw away 10 years ago." The gasps were audible now. Stephen's mother, Victoria Walsh, rose from her seat in the front pew, her face pale beneath her elaborate hat. "This is preposterous. Stephen, call security." "No!" Stephen's voice was hoarse. "Everyone stay calm." Barbara reached into her purse and pulled out 2 photographs, school pictures, taken just last month. A girl with dark hair and Stephen's grey eyes. A boy with his father's stubborn jaw and his mother's determined smile. "I came here because your children deserve to know their father," Barbara said, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. "Lisa and Mark Walsh Martinez. 9 years old, twins." The photographs slipped from her fingers and fluttered to the marble floor. Melody stumbled backward, her bouquet of white roses scattering petals across the altar steps. "That is impossible," Victoria Walsh declared, her voice cutting through the din. "Stephen has no children." "He does now," Barbara replied, her eyes never leaving Stephen's face. "He had them 10 years ago, when he decided his career was more important than his pregnant wife." Stephen's face had gone ashen. "Barbara, please. Not like this." "Like what?" The words came out harder than she intended. Like you did not give me a choice 10 years ago. Like you did not threaten to destroy my family's business if I did not disappear. The cathedral erupted in chaos. Guests were standing, voices raised in shock and confusion. Melody's friends rushed to her side as she swayed on her feet. The wedding photographer continued snapping pictures, her flash adding to the surreal atmosphere. "I want you to leave," Melody said, her voice breaking. "This is my wedding day." Barbara looked at the young woman with genuine sympathy. "I am sorry for your pain, but my children have waited 9 years to meet their father. They deserve better than being his secret." "Security!" Victoria Walsh's voice boomed through the cathedral. "Remove this woman immediately." But Stephen held up his hand. "Wait." His voice was stronger now, though his face remained pale. "Barbara, we need to talk, but not here, not like this." "We had 10 years to talk," Barbara replied. "You chose not to." The minister, an elderly man with kind eyes, stepped forward. "Perhaps it would be best if we postponed the ceremony. This clearly requires—" "No," Melody interrupted, tears streaming down her face. "This wedding is over. Stephen, how could you not tell me you had children?" "I did not know," Stephen said, his eyes never leaving Barbara's face. "I swear to you, Melody, I did not know they existed." Barbara's laugh was bitter. "You knew I was pregnant. You knew I refused to end the pregnancy. You knew when you had your lawyers threaten me with total financial ruin if I did not sign those papers and disappear." The silence that followed was deafening. Even the photographers had stopped their clicking. Stephen's best man, a man Barbara recognized as his brother Marcus, stepped forward. "Stephen, is this true?" Stephen's shoulders sagged. "It is complicated." "No," Barbara said firmly, "it is not complicated. You wanted me gone. You got your wish. But your children are not wishes you can make disappear." Melody pulled off her engagement ring, a massive diamond that caught the cathedral's stained glass light. "I cannot marry a man who abandons his children." She placed the ring on the altar beside the scattered rose petals. "I cannot marry a man who lies to me about something this important." "Melody, please." Stephen stepped toward his bride, but she backed away. "Do not touch me." Melody's voice was cold. "Do not ever touch me again." Barbara watched the scene unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and unexpected sympathy. She had not come here to destroy Stephen's relationship with this young woman. She had come to claim what her children deserved. "I will be at the Riverside Hotel downtown," Barbara said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Room 427. If you want to meet your children, Stephen, you know where to find me." She turned and walked back down the aisle, her head high despite the stares and whispers following her. Behind her, she could hear Melody's sobs and the heated voices of the Walsh family, but she did not look back. In the church parking lot, Barbara's hands shook as she fumbled with her car keys. She had done it. She had actually done it. 10 years of imagining this moment. And now, it was over. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister Eleanor, who was watching the twins back in Portland. How did it go? Barbara stared at the message, then at the cathedral behind her, where security guards were now trying to manage the crowd of guests and reporters who had somehow already arrived. She typed back, "I think I just started a war." 2 hours later, Barbara sat in her hotel room, staring at the wedding photos scattered across the bed. Lisa and Mark smiled up at her from their school pictures, and she felt the familiar pang of fierce protectiveness that had driven her through the last 10 years. Her phone rang. Elena's name appeared on the screen. "Tell me everything," Elena said without preamble. "The kids are fine, by the way. Mark is teaching Lisa how to make paper airplanes, and they have been asking when you will be home." Barbara sank into the hotel's plush armchair. "I crashed his wedding, Elena." I actually walked down the aisle and told everyone about the twins. Good for you. Elena's voice was fierce. That man deserved to have his perfect day ruined after what he did to you. I feel sick, Barbara admitted. I keep thinking about that young woman, Melody. She looked so broken. She deserved to know the truth about who she was marrying, Elena said firmly. You did her a favor. Barbara rubbed her temples. I told him where to find me. I said if he wanted to meet his children, he knew where I was. And nothing. It has been 2 hours. Maybe he does not want to meet them after all. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Barbara's heart jumped. Elena, I have to go. Someone is here. Call me back, Elena said. And Barbara, you did the right thing. Those babies deserve to know their father, even if he is a bastard. Barbara ended the call and approached the door cautiously. Who is it? It is Stephen. Her hand froze on the door handle. She had expected this moment, but now that it was here, she felt terrified. Are you alone? Yes. Barbara took a deep breath and opened the door. Stephen stood in the hallway, still wearing his wedding tuxedo, though his bow tie hung loose around his neck and his hair was disheveled. He looked like he had aged 10 years in the last 2 hours. May I come in? Barbara stepped aside, watching as he entered the room. He was taller than she remembered, broader through the shoulders. Success had been good to him physically, even if it had apparently cost him his soul. You look well, he said, his voice careful. Do not, Barbara said sharply, do not start with small talk. Stephen nodded, shoving his hands into his pockets. You are right. I deserve that. He paused, looking around the room. Are they here, the children? They are in Portland with my sister. They think I'm at a business conference. Portland. Stephen's voice was thoughtful. You live in Portland now. I have lived in Portland for 9 years, Barbara replied. I work for Creative Solutions Marketing. I am the Northwest Regional Director. Something flickered in Stephen's eyes. Recognition, perhaps. Creative Solutions. I know that company. They handled the campaign for Cascade Electronics last year. Yes, they did. I handled that campaign. Stephen stared at her. You were the lead on the Cascade account. I was. That campaign was brilliant. It increased their sales by 37%. Barbara felt a flush of pride despite herself. 39%, actually. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of 10 years hanging between them. Finally, Stephen spoke again. I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. I have always told you the truth, Stephen. That was never our problem. Did you really not know where to find me all these years? Barbara's laugh was sharp. Find you? Stephen, you are one of the most famous CEOs in the country. I knew exactly where you were. I knew when you moved to San Francisco. I knew when you bought that house in Napa. I knew when you started dating Melody Harrington. Then why did you not contact me? Because you made it very clear that you did not want us in your life. Barbara's voice was steady, but her hands were clenched at her sides. Because you threatened to destroy my family's business if I did not disappear. Because you made me sign papers saying I would never contact you again. Stephen's face went pale. Barbara, those papers were not legal. They were just what? Just a way to scare a 24-year-old pregnant woman into giving up her rights. Barbara's voice rose. They worked, Stephen. I was terrified. I was alone. I was pregnant with twins, and I was terrified. I did not know you were having twins. Would it have mattered? Stephen was quiet for a long moment. I do not know, he said finally. I hope it would have. Barbara studied his face, looking for the man she had once loved beneath the expensive suit and carefully styled hair. What do you want, Stephen? I want to meet them. My children. I want to know their names, their favorite foods, what they like to do. I want to know everything. Their names are Lisa Catherine and Mark Stephen. Lisa loves to draw and wants to be an artist. Mark plays soccer and wants to be a veterinarian. They both get good grades. They both ask why they do not have a father like their friends do. Stephen's hands tightened into fists. What do you tell them? I tell them that their father was not ready to be a father when they were born. I tell them that sometimes adults make mistakes they cannot fix. Can this be fixed? Barbara looked at him for a long moment. I do not know. But they deserve the chance to decide for themselves if they want to know you. What do you need from me? I need you to prove that you want to be their father, not just have them as accessories to your life. I need you to understand that being a parent is not about money or power or control. It is about showing up, even when it is inconvenient. Stephen nodded slowly. What does that look like? It looks like you coming to Portland. It looks like you meeting them in a safe environment, with me there. It looks like you earning their trust and mine. And if I do that, Barbara's smile was sad, then maybe, eventually, you get to be their father. But Stephen, I need you to understand something. I am not the woman you married 10 years ago. I am not the woman you can intimidate or control. I am their mother, and I will protect them with my life. I understand. Do you? Barbara stepped closer. Because if you hurt them, if you disappoint them, if you make them feel unwanted or unloved, I will make what happened at your wedding today look like a gentle conversation. Stephen's eyes met hers, and for a moment she saw a flash of the man she had once loved. I understand, he said quietly, and Barbara, I am sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you, for what I took from them, for what I lost because of my own cowardice. Barbara felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them back. Apologies are a start, but actions matter more than words. When can I meet them? Give me a week to prepare them, to explain that their father wants to meet them, to make sure they are ready. Stephen nodded. I will be ready whenever you are. He moved toward the door, then paused. Barbara, thank you for raising them, for being strong enough to do it alone, for giving me this chance. Barbara watched him go, her heart pounding. She had started something today that she could not control or predict. But as she looked at the photos of her children scattered across the bed, she knew she had done the right thing. Her phone rang. Elena again. Well? Elena's voice was eager. What happened? Barbara sank onto the bed, gathering the photos into her hands. I think I just opened a door I've been keeping closed for 10 years. Are you scared? Barbara looked at Lisa's bright smile and Mark's mischievous grin. Terrified, she admitted, but they deserve to know their father, even if he is not the man I thought he was. And you? Do you deserve to know who he became? Barbara was quiet for a long moment. I do not know yet, she said finally. But I guess I am about to find out. The flight back to Portland felt endless. Barbara stared out the window at the clouds below, replaying the conversation with Stephen over and over in her mind. She had expected anger, maybe even threats. She had not expected the quiet remorse in his voice or the genuine sadness in his eyes when he talked about missing 9 years of his children's lives. Her phone buzzed with a text from Stephen. I cancelled all my meetings for the next month. I want to do this right. Barbara stared at the message. Stephen cancelling meetings was like the sun reversing its course. His work had always been his first priority, his only priority. The fact that he was clearing his schedule for children he had never met was either a very good sign or a very calculated move. She texted back, I will call you tomorrow with a plan. The plane touched down in Portland at 6:37 in the evening. Barbara grabbed her bag and headed for the exit, her mind already racing with how she would explain this to the twins. How did you tell 9-year-old children that their father, who'd been absent their entire lives, suddenly wanted to be part of their world? Elena's car was waiting at the curb. Barbara climbed into the passenger seat, grateful for her sister's familiar presence. "You look like you have been through a war," Elena said, pulling away from the curb. "I feel like it." Barbara fastened her seatbelt. "How are the kids?" "Excited to see you. They made you welcome home signs." Elena glanced at her sister. "Are you going to tell them tonight?" "I do not know. I need to figure out how to explain it without scaring them. They have been asking questions lately," Elena said carefully, "about their father, Lisa especially." Barbara's stomach tightened. "What kind of questions?" "Whether he is still alive, whether he knows about them, whether he might want to meet them someday." "What did you tell them?" "I told them to ask their mother." Elena's voice was gentle. "But Barbara, they are getting older. They are starting to understand that their situation is different from their friends." Barbara nodded, watching the familiar streets of Portland pass by. "I know. I have been dreading this conversation for months. Maybe Stephen showing up is a blessing in disguise, or maybe it is a disaster waiting to happen." Elena pulled into the driveway of Barbara's small but comfortable house in the Laurelhurst neighborhood. It was a far cry from the mansion she had shared with Stephen during their brief marriage, but it was home. It was safe. It was theirs. "Mom!" Lisa's voice carried from the front porch as she bounded down the steps, her dark hair flying behind her. Mark was right behind her, a soccer ball tucked under his arm. Barbara caught them both in a fierce hug, breathing in the familiar scent of their shampoo and the lingering smell of pizza from dinner. "We missed you," Mark said, his voice muffled against her shoulder. "I missed you too, sweetheart." "Did you get the big account?" Lisa asked, pulling back to look at her mother's face. Barbara paused. She had used a business trip as her cover for going to Chicago, but the twins were smart. They would notice if she seemed different. "We will talk about it later," Barbara said. "Right now, I want to hear about your day." They went inside, and Barbara listened as the twins chattered about school, their friends, and the paper airplane contest Mark had apparently won during lunch. But she could feel Eleanor's eyes on her, and she knew her sister was waiting for her to make a decision. After the twins went to bed, Barbara and Elena sat in the living room with cups of tea. "So," Elena said, "what is the plan?" Barbara stared into her tea. "I think I need to tell them tomorrow, before I lose my nerve. And then I call Stephen and we figure out how to do this without traumatizing anyone." Elena was quiet for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you still love him?" Barbara's hand tightened on her tea mug. "I do not know. I loved the man I married 10 years ago, but I do not know if that man still exists. He cleared his schedule for a month. That could be guilt, or publicity management, or genuine interest in his children. I have no idea. What does your gut tell you?" Barbara thought about Stephen's face when she'd shown him the photographs, the way his voice had cracked when he said their names, the genuine remorse in his eyes when he apologized. "My gut tells me that he is different, but my heart tells me to be very, very careful." "That sounds like wisdom." Barbara nodded. "I just hope it is enough." The next morning, Barbara woke to the sound of rain pattering against her bedroom window. She lay in bed for a moment, listening to the familiar sounds of her children getting ready for school. Mark's heavier footsteps on the stairs, Lisa's voice calling from the kitchen, asking where her favorite sweater was. This was her life. This was their life. Safe, predictable, peaceful. And she was about to turn it upside down. She found the twins in the kitchen, Mark eating cereal while scrolling through something on his tablet, Lisa carefully packing her art supplies into her backpack. "Good morning," Barbara said, kissing the top of each head. "How did you sleep?" "Fine," Lisa said, but there was something in her voice that made Barbara look at her more carefully. "Everything okay, sweetheart?" Lisa glanced at Mark, who looked up from his tablet. "Mom, can we ask you something?" Barbara's heart started racing. "Of course." "Are you dating someone?" Mark asked bluntly. "What?" Barbara nearly dropped her coffee mug. "Why would you ask that?" "You have been acting weird lately," Lisa said. "And yesterday Elena said you went to Chicago for business, but you do not usually travel for work." Barbara sat down at the kitchen table, her mind racing. "I'm not dating anyone." "But you are right. I did go to Chicago, and it was not exactly for business." The twins exchanged glances. "What was it for?" Lisa asked. Barbara took a deep breath. "I went to see your father." The silence that followed was deafening. Mark's spoon clattered into his bowl. Lisa's backpack slipped from her hands. "Our father?" Lisa's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes. He is alive?" Mark's voice was tight. "Yes, he is alive. He lives in Chicago. He is a successful businessman." "Why did you go see him?" Lisa asked. Barbara chose her words carefully. "Because I thought it was time he knew about you, and time you knew about him, if you wanted to." "Does he want to meet us?" Mark's question was direct, but Barbara could hear the vulnerability underneath. "He does, very much." Lisa's eyes filled with tears. "Why now? Why did he not want to meet us before?" This was the question Barbara had been dreading. "It is complicated, sweetheart. Your father and I were very young when we got married. We were not ready to be parents. We made mistakes." "What kind of mistakes?" Mark asked. "We hurt each other. We stopped talking to each other. And when I found out I was pregnant with you two, your father was not ready to be a father." "So he left us?" Lisa's voice was small. "He left me. But he did not know you yet. He did not know how wonderful you would be." Mark was quiet for a long moment. "What is his name?" "Stephen Walsh." "Is he rich?" Mark asked. "Why do you ask that?" "Elena said you looked sad when you came home, but also kind of scared. If he is not rich, what would you have to be scared of?" Barbara realized her children were far more perceptive than she had given them credit for. "He is successful, yes, but that is not what matters." "What matters?" Lisa asked. "What matters is whether he wants to be your father now, whether he is willing to put in the work to earn your trust and love. And if he is not," Mark's voice was challenging, "then nothing changes. We are fine just the way we are." Lisa wiped her eyes. "Can we think about it?" "Of course. You do not have to decide anything right now. But if you do want to meet him, it would be here in Portland, with me there the whole time." "Would he come here?" Mark asked. "Yes. He said he would come whenever you were ready." The twins looked at each other again, one of those silent conversations that had been happening between them since they were babies. "We want to think about it," Lisa said finally. "Is that okay?" "That is perfect," Barbara said, relief flooding through her. "Take all the time you need." After the twins left for school, Barbara sat in her kitchen with her phone in her hand, Stephen's contact information on the screen. She had promised to call him with a plan, but she realized she did not have one yet. Everything depended on what Lisa and Mark decided. She typed a text. "I told them about you. They want time to think about meeting you. I will call you when they decide." His response came immediately. "Thank you for telling them. I will wait as long as it takes." Barbara stared at the message, surprised by the patience in his words. The Stephen she had married would have demanded immediate action, would have tried to control the situation. Maybe he really had changed. Or maybe he was just better at hiding his true nature now. Either way, she would find out soon enough. 3 days passed before Lisa and Mark made their decision. Barbara watched them carefully during those days, noting the whispered conversations that stopped when she entered a room, the way they seemed to study her face when they thought she was not looking. On Thursday evening, as Barbara was cleaning up after dinner, Lisa approached her in the kitchen. "Mom, we want to meet him." Barbara's hands stilled on the dish she was washing. "Are you sure?" Mark appeared in the doorway, his expression serious. "We talked about it. We want to know who he is." "But we have rules," Lisa added quickly. Barbara dried her hands and sat down at the kitchen table. "What kind of rules?" "You have to be there the whole time," Mark said. "We do not want to be alone with him. He cannot buy us expensive things to try to make us like him," Lisa added. "That would be cheating. And if we do not like him, or if he is mean to you, he has to leave." Mark's voice was firm. Barbara felt a surge of pride at her children's wisdom. "Those are very good rules. Anything else?" "We want to meet him somewhere public first," Lisa said. "Like a restaurant or something, so if it goes badly we can leave." "And we do not have to call him Dad," Mark added. "We will call him Stephen until we decide if he gets to be our father." Barbara nodded solemnly. "I think those are excellent rules. Should I call him and tell him?" The twins exchanged another of their silent conversations. "Yes," Lisa said finally, "but tell him about the rules first." That evening, after the twins were in bed, Barbara sat in her living room with her phone. Stephen answered on the first ring. "Barbara, they want to meet you." She heard him take a sharp breath. "They do?" "Yes, but they have conditions." "Of course." "What do they need?" Barbara was surprised by how quickly he agreed. "They want to meet you in a public place first, somewhere comfortable for them. They want me there the entire time, and they want to call you Stephen until they decide if you have earned the right to be called Dad. That sounds fair. Stephen, I need you to understand something. These are not negotiations. These are requirements." "I understand." "They are smart kids. They will see through any attempt to manipulate them or buy their affection. They want to know who you are, not how much money you have." "I would never." Stephen started, then stopped. "You are right. I need to earn their trust." "When can you come to Portland?" "I can be there tomorrow." Barbara was quiet for a moment. "Tomorrow is very soon. I have waited 10 years to meet my children. I do not want to wait another day." "Stephen, this is not about what you want. This is about what is best for Lisa and Mark." "You are right. I am sorry. When would be good for them?" Barbara looked at her calendar. "This weekend, Saturday afternoon, there is a family restaurant called Riverside Cafe near the river. It is quiet, kid-friendly, and public. Saturday afternoon, I will be there." "Stephen," Barbara's voice was softer now, "are you sure you are ready for this? These are real children with real feelings. If you hurt them, if you disappoint them, there will not be a second chance. I understand. And Barbara, thank you for giving me this chance." After hanging up, Barbara sat in the silence of her living room, wondering if she was making the right decision. Tomorrow she would call the twins' school and arrange for them to leave early on Saturday. Tomorrow she would figure out how to prepare 2 9-year-old children to meet the father they had never known. Tomorrow she would see Stephen Walsh again, and this time her children would be watching. Saturday morning dawned grey and drizzly, typical Portland weather for late October. Barbara had barely slept, her mind racing with scenarios of how the meeting might go. She had spent the morning helping Lisa choose an outfit that made her feel confident, and watching Mark practice soccer tricks in the backyard to burn off nervous energy. "Are you nervous, Mom?" Lisa asked as they drove toward the restaurant. "A little," Barbara admitted. "Are you?" "Yes," Mark said from the back seat. "What if he does not like us?" Then that is his loss, Barbara said firmly. But I think he will like you very much. What if we do not like him? Lisa asked quietly. Then we go home and have ice cream for dinner, and nothing has to change. Riverside Cafe was busy for a Saturday afternoon, filled with families and couples enjoying the weekend. Barbara had chosen a corner booth where they could see the entire restaurant but still have privacy for conversation. They had been seated for 5 minutes when Barbara saw Stephen walk through the front door. He was dressed casually in dark jeans and a navy sweater, his hair slightly mussed from the rain. He looked around the restaurant until his eyes found theirs. Barbara felt her breath catch. Even after 10 years, even after everything that had happened between them, seeing Stephen still affected her. He was still handsome, still carried himself with that quiet confidence that had first attracted her all those years ago. Is that him? Lisa whispered. Yes. Stephen approached their table slowly, his eyes fixed on the twins. Barbara could see the emotion on his face as he took in their features, recognizing parts of himself in their faces. Hello, he said, his voice careful. Hello, Lisa replied politely. Mark just stared at him. May I sit down? Stephen asked. Barbara nodded toward the empty chair across from them. Stephen sat down, his hands folded on the table. You must be Lisa and Mark, he said. We are, Lisa said. You are Stephen. I am. Stephen's voice was gentle. I am very happy to meet you. Why? Mark asked bluntly. Stephen looked surprised by the directness of the question. Because you are my children, because I have missed 10 years of your lives, and I would like to know you. Why did you miss 10 years? Lisa asked. Barbara tensed, but Stephen did not look away from the twins. Because I made a very bad decision when I was young. I was scared of being a father, and I hurt your mother. I have regretted it every day since. Do you have other kids? Mark asked. No, you are my only children. Are you married? Lisa asked. No, I was supposed to get married last weekend, but that did not work out. The twins exchanged glances. Barbara realized they were interviewing him and doing a better job of it than she had expected. What do you do for work? Mark asked. I run a company. We make technology that helps other companies work better. Is that why you travel a lot? Lisa asked. I do travel for work, yes, but I could travel less if I had a good reason to stay home. The waitress approached their table. Are you ready to order? Stephen looked at the twins. What do you like to eat? I like grilled cheese and tomato soup, Lisa said. I like hamburgers, Mark added. Those sound good, Stephen said to the waitress. I will have the same as Mark. Barbara ordered a salad, though she doubted she would be able to eat much. Her nerves were too frayed. Do you know how to play soccer? Mark asked when the waitress left. I played in high school, not very well, but I am on the school team. We won our last 3 games. That is impressive. What position do you play? As Mark explained the intricacies of youth soccer, Barbara watched Stephen's face. He was listening intently, asking follow-up questions, showing genuine interest in his son's answers. What about you, Lisa? Stephen asked when Mark finished. What do you like to do? I like to draw and paint and read. What kind of things do you like to draw? Animals, mostly, and landscapes. I want to be an artist when I grow up. That is wonderful. I would love to see your artwork sometime, if you would like to show me. Lisa smiled shyly. Maybe. Their food arrived, and the conversation became more natural. Stephen asked about their school, their friends, their favorite subjects. He told them about his childhood, about the dog he had when he was their age, about the time he broke his arm falling out of a tree. Barbara found herself relaxing slightly. Stephen was being genuine with the twins, not talking down to them or trying to impress them. He was just talking to them like they were people worth knowing. Can I ask you something? Lisa said during a lull in the conversation. Of course. Are you sorry you were not there when we were born? The question hung in the air. Barbara saw Stephen's throat work as he swallowed. Yes, he said finally. I am very sorry. I missed the most important day of your lives, and I cannot get that back. Do you wish we were not born? Mark asked quietly. No. Stephen's voice was firm. Never. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me, even if I was too stupid to realize it at the time. Lisa looked at Barbara, then back at Stephen. Are you going to hurt our mom again? The question was like a punch to the gut. Barbara had not expected Lisa to be so direct. Stephen was quiet for a long moment. I hope not. I do not want to hurt anyone ever again. But I understand why you are worried about that. Good, Mark said. Because if you hurt her, you will have to deal with us. Stephen's smile was sad. I think your mother is very lucky to have you two protecting her. She takes care of us, Lisa said. It is only fair that we take care of her too. Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. Her children were amazing. You raised incredible kids, Stephen said to Barbara, his voice soft. They raised themselves mostly, Barbara replied. I just tried to keep up. They finished their meal in comfortable conversation. Stephen asked about their Halloween costumes, their favorite movies, their plans for Thanksgiving. He told them about his travels, about the different cities he had visited, about the mountains he had climbed. I should get them home, Barbara said when they had finished eating. They have soccer practice tomorrow morning. Of course, Stephen signaled for the check. We pay for ourselves, Barbara said firmly. Barbara, please let me... No, that was one of the rules. Stephen nodded. You are right. I apologize. Outside the restaurant, the twins stood awkwardly with Stephen while Barbara got the car keys out of her purse. This was nice, Lisa said. Thank you for lunch. Thank you for agreeing to meet me, Stephen replied. Mark looked up at him. Are you going back to Chicago now? Not right away. I was hoping I could see you again before I leave. The twins looked at Barbara. Can we think about it? Lisa asked. Of course, Barbara said. Take all the time you need. Stephen handed Barbara a business card. My cell phone number is on there. Call me when you decide. Barbara took the card, her fingers brushing his briefly. The touch sent an unexpected jolt through her. Stephen, she said, this was good. You were good with them. They are amazing kids. Yes, they are. Stephen looked like he wanted to say more, but he just nodded. I will wait to hear from you. In the car, the twins were quiet for the first few minutes. So, Barbara asked finally, what did you think? He seems nice, Lisa said, and he really listened to us. He did not try to buy us stuff, Mark added. That was good. Did you like him? Barbara asked. I think so, Lisa said. He seems sad about missing our lives. He does, Mark agreed, but he also seems like he wants to try to be our dad now. Do you want to see him again? The twins looked at each other. Yes, Lisa said, but maybe somewhere more fun next time. Like where? The zoo, Mark said immediately, or the science museum. We could show him our school, Lisa suggested. Barbara smiled. I think those are good ideas. Should I call him? Yes, both twins said together. That evening, Barbara sat in her living room with Stephen's business card in her hand. The afternoon had gone better than she had dared to hope. Stephen had been patient, genuine, and respectful. He had not tried to overwhelm the twins with gifts or promises. He had just been present. She dialed his number. Barbara, he answered immediately. They want to see you again. They do. Yes, they want to show you their school and maybe visit the zoo. I would love that. When? Are you free tomorrow afternoon? I am free whenever you need me to be. Barbara was quiet for a moment. Stephen, I need to ask you something. Anything. How long are you planning to stay in Portland? As long as it takes. What does that mean? It means I am not going back to Chicago until I know where I stand with my children and with you. Barbara's heart skipped. Stephen, this is not about us. This is about Lisa and Mark. I know. But Barbara, seeing you today, seeing the mother you have become, the woman you are now, I cannot pretend that I do not still care about you. Stephen, do not. I know I have no right to ask for anything from you. I know I destroyed what we had. But I want you to know that I never stopped. Stop, Barbara said firmly. Just stop. We are not doing this. Barbara, please. No, I am hanging up now. I will call you tomorrow to arrange the zoo visit. Barbara ended the call, her hands shaking. She had been afraid this would happen. She had been afraid that Stephen would try to turn this into something it was not. But as she sat in the silence of her living room, she had to admit that hearing the longing in his voice had affected her more than she wanted to acknowledge. The next morning, Barbara woke to the sound of her phone ringing. Elena's name appeared on the screen. How did it go yesterday? Elena asked without preamble. Better than expected, Barbara said, getting out of bed. The kids liked him. And you. I think he is genuine about wanting to be their father. That is not what I asked. Barbara sighed. I do not know, Elena. He is different than he was 10 years ago, more mature, more thoughtful. But I cannot forget what he did to me. I cannot forget how he made me feel. People change, Barbara. Some people change. Some people just get better at hiding who they really are. Eleanor was quiet for a moment. What does your heart tell you? My heart tells me to be very careful. My heart tells me that I have spent 10 years building a good life for my children, and I cannot let anyone destroy that. Even if that someone is their father. Especially if that someone is their father. After breakfast, Barbara called Stephen to arrange the zoo visit. He answered on the first ring. Good morning. Good morning. Are you still interested in going to the zoo today? Very much. We can meet you there at 1 o'clock. The twins want to show you the elephant exhibit. I will be there. Stephen, Barbara said, her voice careful. About last night. I need you to understand that this is about the children. Only about the children. I understand. Do you? Yes. I overstepped. I am sorry. Good. I will see you at 1. The Oregon Zoo was crowded with families enjoying the sunny Sunday afternoon. Barbara spotted Stephen near the entrance, checking his phone. He was wearing jeans and a casual jacket, and he looked more relaxed than she had seen him since Chicago. Stephen, Mark called out, waving as they approached. Stephen's face lit up when he saw the twins. Hello, you two. Are you ready to see some animals? We want to show you the elephants first, Lisa said, taking his hand without hesitation. Barbara felt a pang watching her daughter's easy trust. Lisa had always been cautious with strangers, but she seemed to have accepted Stephen as part of their family already. They spent the afternoon wandering through the zoo. Stephen listened patiently as the twins explained the habits of various animals, asked questions about their favorite exhibits, and bought them cotton candy despite Barbara's protests. It is just cotton candy, he said when Barbara objected, not a car. The rule was no expensive gifts, Barbara said. Cotton candy costs $3, Stephen replied. I think we're safe. Barbara found herself smiling despite her irritation. Fine, but nothing else. At the elephant exhibit, Mark explained the difference between African and Asian elephants. While Stephen listened intently, Barbara watched the interaction, noting how Stephen gave Mark his full attention, how he asked follow-up questions, how he seemed genuinely interested in learning from his son. Did you know that elephants have really good memories? Lisa asked Stephen. I did know that. They say an elephant never forgets. Like Mom, Mark said. She never forgets anything either. Stephen glanced at Barbara. Is that right? I have a good memory, Barbara said carefully. That can be a blessing and a curse, Stephen said quietly. Barbara met his eyes. Yes, it can. They moved on to the primate exhibit, where a family of gorillas was playing in their enclosure. The twins pressed against the glass, pointing out the baby gorilla to Stephen. The baby stays close to its mother, Lisa observed. That is because the mother protects the baby, Mark added. All good mothers protect their babies, Stephen said, looking at Barbara. And all good fathers help, Barbara replied. Yes, Stephen said. They do. As they walked toward the next exhibit, Stephen fell into step beside Barbara while the twins ran ahead. They are incredible, he said quietly. They are good kids. They are more than good kids. They are smart, thoughtful, kind. They are everything I could have hoped for. They are everything I needed them to be, Barbara said. Stephen was quiet for a moment. I know you did this alone. I know you had to be everything to them. I cannot imagine how hard that was. It was not hard, Barbara said. It was my job. It was our job, and I was not there. No, you were not. I want to be there now. Barbara stopped walking. Stephen, what does that mean? You live in Chicago. You have a company to run. You have a life there. I can move my life. Can you? Just like that. Stephen looked at her seriously. Barbara, I spent 10 years building a company, making money, achieving success. And for what? So I could stand in an empty house and realize that I had everything I thought I wanted and nothing that actually mattered. That is a very nice speech, Stephen, but life is not that simple. It could be. No, it could not. You cannot just uproot your entire life because you feel guilty about the past. This is not about guilt. Then what is it about? Stephen stopped walking and turned to face her. It is about the fact that I made the biggest mistake of my life 10 years ago. It is about the fact that I let fear and ambition destroy the best thing that ever happened to me. Stephen, do not. It is about the fact that I never stopped loving you, Barbara, even when I was too proud to admit it, even when I was too scared to fight for you. Barbara felt her heart stop. You do not get to say that to me. Why not? Because it is not fair. Because I spent 10 years getting over you. Because I built a life that does not include you. But could it include me now? Barbara looked at him, seeing the vulnerability in his eyes, the hope and fear warring in his expression. For a moment, she was 24 again, standing in his apartment, believing that love could conquer anything. Mom, Stephen, come see the lions. Lisa's voice cut through the moment. Barbara turned away from Stephen, grateful for the interruption. We are coming. They spent the rest of the afternoon pretending that nothing had happened. Stephen played with the twins, asked questions about their lives, and made them laugh. Barbara watched him transform from the serious businessman she had known into someone who could be silly and fun and present. But his words echoed in her mind. He had never stopped loving her. He wanted to move his life to Portland. He wanted to be part of their family. The question was, what did she want? As they prepared to leave the zoo, the twins hugged Stephen goodbye. Will we see you tomorrow? Lisa asked. If your mother says it is okay, Stephen replied, looking at Barbara. We will see, Barbara said. You have school tomorrow. But after school, Mark asked hopefully. Maybe, Barbara said. We will talk about it. In the car, the twins chatted about their favorite animals and the things Stephen had told them about his travels. Barbara half listened, her mind still reeling from Stephen's confession. Mom, do you like Stephen? Lisa asked suddenly. What do you mean? I mean, do you like him? Like him? Like how married people like each other. Barbara's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Why do you ask? Because he looks at you the way Dad looked at Mom in the movies, Mark said, and you get all weird when he talks to you. I do not get weird. You do, Lisa said. You get the same look you get when you're trying to solve a hard problem at work. Barbara glanced at her children in the rearview mirror. Stephen and I have a complicated history. We were married once, a long time ago. Before we were born, Mark asked. Yes. But it did not work out. Why not? Lisa asked. Because we were very young and we made mistakes. What kind of mistakes? Barbara was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. We stopped talking to each other. We stopped trusting each other. We let other things become more important than our relationship. But you are talking now, Mark pointed out. We are talking about you two. That is different. Is it? Lisa asked. Barbara did not have an answer for that. That evening, after the twins were in bed, Barbara sat in her living room with a glass of wine and her phone. She had 3 missed calls from Stephen and 2 text messages. The first message read, I am sorry for what I said today. I did not mean to make you uncomfortable. The second message read, I meant every word, but I should not have said it. Can we please talk? Barbara stared at the messages for a long time. Part of her wanted to call him back, to have the conversation that had been 10 years in the making, but another part of her was terrified of what that conversation might lead to. She was still sitting there when her phone rang. Stephen's name appeared on the screen. Hello. Please do not hang up, Stephen said immediately. I'm not going to hang up. Good. I need to apologize. You already apologized twice. I need to apologize better. I had no right to say what I said today. I had no right to put you in that position. No, you did not. I want you to know that I meant what I said about wanting to be part of the twins' lives. That is not conditional on anything else. That is not dependent on how you feel about me. Barbara was quiet for a moment. I know. Do you? Yes. I can see how much you care about them. I can see that you want to be their father. I do. More than anything. Then that is what we focus on. The children, nothing else. Barbara, can I ask you something? What? Are you happy? The question caught her off guard. What do you mean? I mean, are you happy with your life? Are you fulfilled? Are you content? Barbara thought about it. I am proud of what I have accomplished. I am proud of the children I have raised. I am proud of the life I have built. That is not the same thing as being happy. It is enough. Is it? Barbara was quiet for a long moment. Stephen, I cannot do this with you. I cannot analyze my life and my feelings and my choices. I cannot relitigate the past. I'm not asking you to relitigate the past. I'm asking you to consider the future. What future? The future where I am part of your lives, where I am part of Lisa and Mark's lives, where we figure out how to be a family. We are not a family, Stephen. We are 2 people who share children. We could be more than that. No, we could not. Why not? Barbara set down her wine glass and stood up, pacing to the window. Because I do not trust you, because I cannot forget what you did to me, because I will not risk my children's happiness on the possibility that you have changed. I have changed. Maybe you have, but I have changed too, Stephen. I'm not the naive 24-year-old who believed that love could overcome anything. I am not the woman who would sacrifice her own well-being for a relationship. I would never ask you to do that. You would not have to ask. That is who I was with you. That is who I became, and I will not be that person again. Stephen was quiet for a long moment. I understand. Do you? Yes, I understand that I have to earn your trust. I understand that I have to prove that I have changed. I understand that this is not about what I want or what I think we could have. This is about what is best for Lisa and Mark. Yes, it is. Then let me prove it. Let me show you that I can be the father they deserve and the man you need me to be. Barbara leaned her forehead against the cool glass of the window. What does that look like? I do not know yet. But I want to find out. Stephen, I need you to understand something. I'm not going to fall in love with you again. I'm not going to let you back into my heart. I'm not going to risk everything I have built for the possibility of something that might not work. I understand. I am doing this for Lisa and Mark, only for them. I know. Good. Then we understand each other. We do. Barbara was quiet for a moment. The twins want to see you again tomorrow after school. I would like that. I will pick them up at 3:30. We can meet you at the park near their school. I will be there. Stephen? Yes? Thank you. For being patient with them. For listening to them. For trying to be what they need. Thank you for giving me the chance. After Barbara hung up, she sat back down on her couch, emotionally exhausted. The conversation had been necessary, but it had also been painful. She had needed to set boundaries, to make it clear that this was about the children and nothing else. But even as she told herself that, she could not forget the way Stephen had looked at her today, the way he had said he never stopped loving her, the way her heart had skipped when he said it. She was in trouble. She was in serious trouble. The next few days fell into a pattern. Stephen would meet Barbara and the twins after school, and they would spend an hour or two together. Sometimes they went to the park. Sometimes they went for ice cream. Sometimes they just walked around the neighborhood while the twins told Stephen about their day. Barbara found herself looking forward to these meetings, though she tried to tell herself it was because she enjoyed seeing the twins so happy. Stephen was good with them, patient and attentive and genuinely interested in their lives. He remembered details about their friends, their teachers, their interests. He asked follow-up questions about things they had told him days earlier. He is a good listener, Lisa observed one evening as they were getting ready for bed. Yes, he is, Barbara agreed. I think he really wants to be our dad, Mark said. I think so too. Do you think he will stay? Lisa asked quietly. Barbara paused in the middle of braiding Lisa's hair. What do you mean? I mean, will he move to Portland? Or will he go back to Chicago and forget about us? He will not forget about you, sweetheart. He cares about you too much. But will he stay? Barbara finished the braid and sat down on the edge of Lisa's bed. I do not know. That depends on a lot of things. Like what? Like his job. Like his life in Chicago. Like whether he can figure out how to be your father from far away. Mark appeared in the doorway. Could we visit him in Chicago? Maybe, if he wants that. Would you come with us? Lisa asked. Barbara's heart clenched. We would have to see. I do not want to go without you, Mark said. I do not want to be away from you. Then we will figure something out, Barbara said firmly. I promise. But as she tucked the twins into bed, Barbara wondered what she was promising. She wondered what would happen if Stephen decided to fight for custody. She wondered what would happen if he decided to move to Portland. She wondered what would happen if he decided to go back to Chicago and try to maintain a relationship with the twins from a distance. All of the possibilities scared her. The next day, Barbara was working late at her office when her phone rang. Stephen's name appeared on the screen. Hello. Barbara, I need to tell you something. What is it? I had a meeting with my board of directors today about the future of the company. Barbara felt her stomach drop. And I told them I was taking a leave of absence, indefinitely. What does that mean? It means I'm staying in Portland, for as long as it takes. Barbara was quiet for a moment. Stephen, you cannot just abandon your company. I'm not abandoning it. I am delegating. I have good people working for me. They can handle things while I figure out how to be a father. And if they cannot, then I will figure something else out. This is not a game, Stephen. This is your life, your career. My career will still be there. My children will not wait for me to be ready. Barbara rubbed her temples. Where are you going to live? I found a furnished apartment near the river. I signed a 6-month lease. 6 months? To start. I am hoping I will know by then whether I'm staying permanently. Stephen, this is crazy. You cannot just uproot your entire life. Why not? You did. I did not have a choice. I am making a choice now. Barbara was quiet for a long moment. What if it does not work out? What if you realize that being a father is harder than you thought? Then I will learn. I will figure it out. And if you decide you want to go back to Chicago, then we will figure out how to make that work for the twins. But Barbara, I'm not planning to go back to Chicago. I'm planning to stay here. For 6 months. For as long as it takes. Barbara closed her eyes. The twins are going to be thrilled, are they? They have been worried that you were going to leave. I am not going to leave. Stephen, you cannot make promises you might not be able to keep. I am not making promises I cannot keep. I am making a commitment. What is the difference? The difference is that I know what I am risking. I know what I'm giving up. And I know that it is worth it. Barbara was quiet for a long moment. When do you start this leave of absence? I already started it. Today was my last day in the office. And your apartment? I can move in this weekend. Stephen, this is a lot of change very quickly. I know, but I have wasted 10 years already. I do not want to waste any more time. Barbara stared out her office window at the Portland skyline. I need to think about this. What is there to think about? I need to think about what this means for the twins, for our arrangement, for everything. Barbara, nothing has to change. I'm just going to be here instead of in Chicago. Everything changes, Stephen. Everything. Does it? Yes. Because now this is not a temporary visit. Now this is real life. Now we have to figure out how to actually do this. We will figure it out. Will we? Yes, we will. Barbara was quiet for a moment. I have to go. I need to think about how to tell the twins. Do you want me to be there when you tell them? No, I think I should talk to them first. Then you can answer their questions. Okay, Barbara. Yes, thank you for making this possible, for giving me this chance. Do not thank me yet, Stephen. Let us see how this goes. After Barbara hung up, she sat in her office for a long time, staring at the phone. Stephen was staying in Portland. He was staying indefinitely. He was making their temporary arrangement into something permanent. She should have been happy. The twins would be thrilled. They would have their father nearby, available for school events and soccer games and art projects. But Barbara felt terrified, because having Stephen nearby meant that she would have to see him regularly. It meant that she would have to navigate co-parenting with him. It meant that she would have to figure out how to maintain her boundaries while allowing him to be part of their lives. And despite everything she had told herself, despite all her promises to keep her heart protected, she was afraid that having Stephen nearby would make it very hard to remember why she could not let herself fall in love with him again. Barbara decided to tell the twins about Stephen's move over dinner the next evening. She had spent the day rehearsing what she would say, trying to find the right words to explain that their father was staying in Portland without making it sound like everything was about to change. I have something to tell you both, she said, as they finished their spaghetti. Lisa and Mark looked up from their plates, immediately attentive. Stephen has decided to stay in Portland for a while. He is taking time off from his work in Chicago so he can spend more time with you. The twins exchanged one of their silent looks. How long is a while? Mark asked. At least 6 months, maybe longer. Where will he live? Lisa asked. He found an apartment near the river. Will he pick us up from school sometimes? Mark asked hopefully. We will have to see. We will need to talk about schedules and rules. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Are you okay with this, Mom? The question caught Barbara off guard. What do you mean? I mean, you look worried. Are you worried about Stephen staying? Barbara realized her children knew her better than she sometimes gave them credit for. I am not worried about Stephen staying. I am worried about making sure this works well for everyone. What would make it not work well? Mark asked. Well, we will need to figure out how much time you spend with Stephen. And we will need to make sure you still have time for your friends and your activities. And we will need to make sure everyone knows what the rules are. What kind of rules? Lisa asked. Rules about bedtimes and homework and chores. Rules about what you can and cannot do with Stephen. Rules about how we communicate with each other. The twins nodded solemnly. Can we call him and tell him we are excited? Mark asked. After dinner, Barbara said. And after we finish your homework. An hour later, Barbara watched from the kitchen as the twins called Stephen on speakerphone. Their excitement was infectious, and she found herself smiling as they peppered him with questions about his new apartment and whether he would be able to come to Mark's next soccer game. We want to help you move in, Lisa said. Can we help you unpack? I would love that, Stephen replied. But you should check with your mum first. Both twins looked at Barbara expectantly. We can help for a little while this weekend, Barbara said. If Stephen wants our help. I definitely want your help, Stephen said. All of you. After the call ended, Barbara helped the twins with their bedtime routine, her mind racing with the implications of Stephen's decision. In a few days, he would be living 20 minutes away. He would be available for school events, for emergencies, for the daily routine of parenting. She was not sure she was ready for that level of involvement. Later that evening, Barbara sat in her living room with a cup of tea and her laptop, trying to focus on work emails. But her mind kept wandering to Stephen's apartment, to the twins' excitement, to the way her carefully ordered life was about to become much more complicated. Her phone buzzed with a text from Stephen. Thank you for being okay with this. I know it is a big change. Barbara stared at the message for a long moment before typing back, I am doing this for the twins. I know, and I am grateful. Stephen, we need to talk about boundaries, about expectations, about how this is going to work. Of course. When would be good? Tomorrow evening, after the twins go to bed. I will come to you, if that is okay. Barbara hesitated. Having Stephen in her house felt intimate, in a way that meeting in public did not, but they needed privacy for this conversation. Okay, 8 o'clock. I will be there. The next evening, Barbara found herself nervous, in a way she had not been since their first meeting at the restaurant. She changed clothes twice, then felt ridiculous for caring how she looked. This was a business meeting, she told herself, a practical conversation about co-parenting logistics. Stephen arrived at exactly 8 o'clock, carrying a bottle of wine and a small wrapped package. Wine felt presumptuous, he said, offering her the bottle, but I thought you might need it for this conversation. Barbara took the bottle, noting that it was a vintage from a vineyard they had visited during their honeymoon. You remembered? I remember everything about our time together. Barbara set the wine on the counter, not sure if she wanted to open it or not. What is the package? Something for the twins. I know you said no gifts, but these are books, educational books, about animals, since they seemed interested at the zoo. Barbara took the package and unwrapped it. Inside were 2 beautifully illustrated books about wildlife conservation, the kind of books that were both educational and engaging. These are lovely, she said. Thank you. Are you sure they are okay? I do not want to break the rules. Books are always okay. They stood in the kitchen for a moment, the weight of the conversation ahead of them settling between them. Should we sit down? Stephen asked. Yes, in the living room. Barbara chose the chair across from the couch, maintaining physical distance. Stephen sat on the couch, his hands folded in his lap. So, Barbara said. Boundaries, yes. First, the twins come first, always. In every decision, in every plan, in every conversation, agreed. Second, you do not make parenting decisions without consulting me, no matter how small they seem. Understood. Third, you respect my rules about bedtime, homework, screen time, and everything else. You do not undermine my authority as their mother. Of course not. Fourth, you do not try to buy their affection. No expensive gifts, no bribes, no promises you cannot keep. I understand. Barbara took a deep breath. And fifth, you do not use your relationship with the twins to manipulate me or our relationship. Stephen was quiet for a moment. What does that mean? It means you do not use them as an excuse to spend time with me. It means you do not confuse them about our relationship status. It means you do not make them feel like they have to choose between us. I would never do that. Good, because if you do, this arrangement ends immediately. Stephen nodded. Are there any other rules? Probably. We will figure them out as we go. Barbara, can I ask you something? What? Are you afraid of me? The question surprised her. What do you mean? I mean, do you think I'm going to hurt the twins? Do you think I'm going to disappoint them and leave? Barbara considered the question carefully. I think you have good intentions. I think you genuinely want to be their father. But I also think you have never been responsible for anyone but yourself. I think you have never had to put someone else's needs before your own, and I think that is a big adjustment. You are right. It is a big adjustment. Stephen, being a parent is not just about the fun parts. It is about waking up at 3 in the morning when they have nightmares. It is about helping with homework even when you are exhausted. It is about going to boring school events and pretending to care about fundraisers. I want to do all of those things. You think you do, but you have never done them. You have never had to sacrifice what you want for what they need. Stephen was quiet for a moment. You are right. I have not. But I want to learn. Then you will need to be patient with them and with yourself, and with me. I can be patient. Barbara studied his face. Stephen, what happens if you decide this is too hard? What happens if you decide you want to go back to your old life? That is not going to happen. You do not know that. Yes, I do. Because I have already lost 10 years with them. I am not going to lose any more. And if your company falls apart while you are gone, then I will build a new one, or I will find a different job, or I will figure out something else. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. My priorities are clear now. Barbara shook her head. Nothing about this is simple, Stephen. Nothing. Maybe not. But it is worth it. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the conversation settling between them. There is something else we need to discuss, Barbara said finally. What? Us. Our relationship. What the twins can and cannot expect from us. Stephen's expression became guarded. What do you mean? I mean, the twins are going to start hoping that we get back together. They are going to start imagining that we are going to be a family again. And we need to make sure they understand that is not going to happen. Stephen was quiet for a long moment. Is it not? No, it is not. Barbara, I know you do not trust me. I know you have every reason to be cautious, but I am not the same man I was 10 years ago. Maybe not, but I am not the same woman either. I know. You are stronger. You are more independent. You are more confident. You are everything I should have encouraged you to be when we were married. Stephen, do not. I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm just telling you what I see. What you see does not matter. What matters is what I know. And what do you know? Barbara met his eyes. I know that I cannot trust you with my heart. I know that I cannot risk the life I have built for the possibility of something that might not work. What if it could work? It could not. How do you know? Because I know myself, and I know you. And I know that some things cannot be fixed. Stephen was quiet for a long moment. I understand. Do you? I understand that you are not ready to trust me. I understand that you need me to prove myself. I understand that this is about the twins, not about us. Good. But Barbara, I need you to know something. What? I am not giving up hope. I am not going to push you or pressure you or make you uncomfortable. But I am not giving up hope that someday you might be willing to take a chance on us again. Barbara felt her heart skip. Stephen, I cannot. I know. You cannot promise me anything. You cannot make any commitments. You cannot even think about it right now. I understand all of that. Then why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know that I am here for all of it. For the twins, yes, but also for you. For whatever you need, whenever you need it. Barbara stood up abruptly. I think you should go. Barbara, no, we had our conversation. We set our boundaries. Now you should go. Stephen stood up slowly. I'm sorry. I did not mean to make you uncomfortable. You did not make me uncomfortable. You made me remember things I do not want to remember. What things? Things like how much I used to love you. Things like how much I used to trust you. Things like how much I used to believe in us. Stephen's face softened. Barbara, no. Do not say anything. Just go. Stephen moved toward the door, then paused. The twins want to help me move in this weekend. Are you still okay with that? Yes, but I am not coming with you. You do not have to. Good. Because I am not ready to see you creating a life here. I'm not ready to see you making this permanent. I understand. After Stephen left, Barbara sat in her living room, her heart racing. She had meant to have a practical conversation about co-parenting. Instead, she had ended up having a conversation about hope and trust and the possibility of second chances. She poured herself a glass of the wine Stephen had brought, noting again that it was from their honeymoon. She had not thought about that trip in years. They had been so young, so hopeful, so certain that love would be enough. Now she was older, wiser, more cautious. She knew that love was not enough. She knew that trust, once broken, was nearly impossible to rebuild. She knew that some mistakes could not be undone. But as she sat in the quiet of her living room, sipping wine and remembering what it felt like to be loved by Stephen Walsh, she had to admit that a small part of her was beginning to wonder if maybe, just maybe, people really could change. Saturday morning arrived grey and drizzly, and Barbara found herself grateful for the weather. It matched her mood perfectly. The twins were practically bouncing with excitement about helping Stephen move into his new apartment. Can we take him some of your cookies? Lisa asked as they got ready to leave. I suppose, Barbara said, though she felt strange about the domestic gesture. And can we bring him some coffee? Mark added. Elena said he looked tired when she saw him at the grocery store. Elena saw Stephen at the grocery store. Yesterday, she said he was buying furniture and looked overwhelmed. Barbara felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. Stephen had probably never had to furnish an apartment by himself. During their marriage, she had handled all the domestic details while he focused on work. We can bring him coffee, she said, but we are not staying long. Why not? Lisa asked. He might need help with more than just unpacking. Because he needs to learn to do things for himself. The twins exchanged a look that Barbara was beginning to recognize. They were worried about Stephen, and they were worried about her reaction to Stephen. "Mom, are you mad at Stephen?" Mark asked as they got in the car. "No, I'm not mad at him." "Then why do you get tense when we talk about him?" Barbara pulled out of the driveway, considering how to answer. "I am not tense. I am just being careful." "Careful about what?" "Careful about making sure this situation works for everyone." "What would make it not work?" Lisa asked. "Well, if Stephen decides he does not want to be a father anymore, or if you two decide you do not want to spend time with him, or if we cannot figure out how to share time and responsibilities. What about if you and Stephen start fighting?" Mark asked quietly. Barbara glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Stephen and I are not going to fight. We are going to work together to make sure you two are happy and healthy. But what if you do not like each other anymore? We do not have to like each other. We just have to respect each other and put you two first." Lisa was quiet for a moment. "Do you not like Stephen?" The question hit Barbara like a punch to the gut. "It is complicated, sweetheart." "What does that mean?" "It means that Stephen and I have a long history together. We have good memories and bad memories. We have things we need to work through." "Like what?" Barbara was quiet for a moment, trying to figure out how to explain 10 years of pain and disappointment to 9-year-old children. "Like learning to trust each other again," she said finally. "Like figuring out how to be good parents together even though we are not married anymore." "Were you married to Stephen?" Mark asked. "Yes, a long time ago, before you were born." "What happened?" "We were very young. We made mistakes. We hurt each other." "Do you still love him?" Lisa asked quietly. Barbara felt her heart stop. "Why do you ask that?" "Because sometimes you look at him like you are sad, and sometimes you look at him like you are happy, and sometimes you look at him like you are scared." Barbara realized that her children were far more observant than she had given them credit for. "I have a lot of complicated feelings about Stephen. But the most important thing is that he is your father, and he wants to be part of your lives. But do you still love him?" Lisa pressed. Barbara was quiet for a long moment. "I love the man he used to be. I'm still learning who he is now." Stephen's new apartment was in a converted warehouse building near the Willamette River. The building was modern and stylish, with floor-to-ceiling windows and exposed brick walls. Barbara had to admit it was a nice place to live. They found Stephen in the lobby, struggling with a large box. "Stephen!" Mark called out, running over to help. "Hey, buddy, perfect timing." Stephen smiled as Mark grabbed one end of the box. "What is in here?" Lisa asked, taking the other end. "Dishes, and probably some other kitchen stuff. I am not entirely sure." Barbara followed them to the elevator, carrying the container of cookies and the thermos of coffee. "You brought coffee?" Stephen said, noticing the thermos. "You are a lifesaver. The twins thought you might need it." They were right. "I've been up since 5 o'clock trying to figure out how to assemble furniture." Stephen's apartment was on the 4th floor, with a view of the river and the city skyline. It was spacious and bright, with hardwood floors and a modern kitchen. But it was also nearly empty, with boxes stacked everywhere and a single mattress on the floor of the bedroom. "Wow," Lisa said, looking around. "This is really nice." "It is," Stephen agreed, "but it does not feel like home yet." "That is because you do not have any furniture," Mark pointed out. "I have some furniture. I just have not figured out how to put it together yet." Barbara looked around the apartment, noting the expensive-looking boxes from high-end furniture stores. "How much furniture did you buy?" "Probably too much." The salesperson was very enthusiastic. "Do you have tools?" Stephen held up a screwdriver. "I have this." Barbara shook her head. "That is not going to be enough. You need a drill, a hammer, a level, measuring tape." "I can buy those things," Stephen said quickly. "Or you can borrow them from me. I have a fully stocked toolbox." Stephen looked surprised. "You do?" I have owned a house for 5 years, Stephen. I have learned to fix things myself. Of course, I'm sorry, I did not mean to assume. It is fine. The twins and I will go get the tools while you figure out what you want to assemble first. An hour later, Barbara found herself on the floor of Stephen's living room, helping him put together a coffee table, while the twins worked on assembling dining room chairs. "This is harder than it looks," Stephen said, squinting at the instruction manual. "Everything is harder than it looks," Barbara replied, lining up the screws. "That is why people hire professionals. I wanted to do it myself. Why? Because I want to learn how to do things like this. I want to be the kind of father who can fix things and build things." Barbara looked at him. "Stephen, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to be present." "I know, but I want to be the kind of father they can be proud of." "They are already proud of you." "Are they?" "Yes. They tell everyone at school about you. They tell everyone that their father is moving to Portland to be with them." Stephen's face softened. "They do." "Yes. Mark told his soccer coach that you used to play soccer in high school. Lisa told her art teacher that you want to see her drawings." "I do want to see her drawings. I know. And that matters to them." They worked in comfortable silence for a while, the twins chattering in the background about school and friends and their plans for Halloween. "Barbara," Stephen said quietly, "thank you for this, for bringing them here, for helping me. You are welcome. I know this is not easy for you." Barbara was quiet for a moment. "It is not as hard as I thought it would be." "What does that mean?" "It means that seeing you with them, seeing how much you care about them, it helps me remember why I fell in love with you in the first place." Stephen's hand stilled on the screwdriver. "Barbara, I am not saying anything has changed," Barbara said quickly. "I am just saying that I can see the man I married underneath all the years and mistakes and hurt." "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" "I do not know yet." They continued working, the weight of the conversation settling between them. Barbara found herself watching Stephen's hands as he worked, remembering how those hands used to touch her, how they used to make her feel safe and loved. "Mom, can we order pizza?" Lisa called from the dining room. "It is only 3 o'clock, Barbara replied, "but we are hungry, and Stephen does not have any food." Barbara looked at Stephen. "Do you have any food?" "I have coffee and some granola bars." "That is not food, Stephen. That is survival rations. I was planning to go grocery shopping tomorrow." "What were you planning to eat tonight?" "I had not really thought about it." Barbara shook her head. "You cannot live on granola bars and coffee." "I can cook," Stephen said defensively. "I just do not have any groceries yet." "When was the last time you cooked something?" Stephen was quiet for a moment. "I usually order takeout." "Stephen, you are 35 years old. You need to learn to feed yourself." "I know. I will learn." Barbara stood up, brushing dust off her jeans. "Come on. We are going grocery shopping." "Now?" "Yes, now. The twins can finish the chairs while we are gone." "You do not have to." "Stephen, you are going to be responsible for feeding my children sometimes. I need to know that you can do that safely." An hour later, Barbara found herself in the produce section of the grocery store, helping Stephen choose vegetables while he pushed a cart and looked overwhelmed. "You do not have to buy everything today," she said, watching him load the cart with random items. "I know, but I want to be prepared." "Prepared for what?" "For when the twins come over, for when I need to cook for them." Barbara picked up a bag of apples and put it in the cart. "What do you know how to cook?" "I can make scrambled eggs, and toast, and pasta." "That is a start." "Will you teach me?" The question surprised her. "Teach you what?" "How to cook, how to make things the twins like." Barbara was quiet for a moment. Stephen, I cannot be your cooking instructor. Why not? Because that is not what this is about. This is about you learning to be their father, not about me teaching you how to be a domestic partner. I know, but I want to learn to cook for them. I want to be able to make them breakfast on Saturday mornings or pack their lunch for school. Barbara felt her heart soften despite herself. There are cookbooks and cooking classes and YouTube videos. I know, but I want to learn to make the things they like. I want to know their favorite foods. Lisa likes pancakes with blueberries. Mark likes grilled cheese cut into triangles. They both like spaghetti with meat sauce and garlic bread. See, that is the kind of thing I need to know. Barbara found herself smiling. Stephen, you are going to be fine. You are going to figure this out. How do you know? Because you care. Because you want to learn. Because you are not giving up. They continued shopping, Barbara helping Stephen choose ingredients for basic meals while he asked questions about the twins' preferences, their allergies, their favorite snacks. You are going to be a good father, Barbara said as they loaded groceries into Stephen's car. Do you really think so? I do. You are not the same man who was too scared to be a father 10 years ago. No, I am not. Stephen, can I ask you something? Anything. Are you happy being here, doing this? Stephen was quiet for a moment. I am happier than I have been in 10 years. Even though you gave up your company, I did not give up my company. I just reprioritized my life. And you do not regret it? No. I regret waiting so long to do it. Barbara looked at him, seeing the peace in his expression, the contentment in his eyes. I am glad. Are you? Yes. I am glad you are happy. I am glad you are here. I am glad the twins have their father. And you? Are you happy? Barbara was quiet for a moment. I am content. That is not the same thing. No, it is not. But it is enough. Is it? Barbara met his eyes. It has to be. The next few weeks fell into a routine that surprised Barbara with its ease. Stephen would pick up the twins from school twice a week, taking them to the park or helping them with homework at his apartment. He attended Mark's soccer games and Lisa's art class exhibition. He learned to make pancakes and grilled cheese, though he still called Barbara with questions about cooking times and temperatures. He burned the pancakes again, Lisa reported one Saturday morning after spending the night at Stephen's apartment. But he made really good bacon, Mark added, and he let us help crack the eggs. Barbara found herself smiling at their reports. Stephen was trying, and that was what mattered, but she was also finding it harder to maintain her emotional distance. Stephen was becoming woven into the fabric of their daily lives, and she was beginning to remember what it felt like to have a partner, someone to share the responsibilities and joys of parenting. You look happier, Elena observed one evening as they watched the twins play in the backyard. Do I? Yes, less stressed, less alone. I am not alone. I have the twins. That is not the same thing, and you know it. Barbara was quiet for a moment. Stephen is good with them. And with you? He is respectful. He follows the rules. He does not push. That is not what I asked. Barbara sighed. I do not know, Elena. I'm trying very hard not to think about it. Maybe you should think about it. Why? Because you are not the same person you were 10 years ago, and neither is he. Maybe the people you are now could make it work. Or maybe we would just hurt each other again. Maybe. But maybe you would be happy. I am happy. You are content. There is a difference. Barbara was quiet for a moment. I am scared. Of what? Of letting myself believe that this could work. Of letting myself hope for something that might not happen. What if it does happen? Then I would have everything I ever wanted, and that terrifies me. Eleanor was quiet for a moment. You know what I think. What? I think you are already falling in love with him again. I think you are just too scared to admit it. Barbara felt her heart skip. That is ridiculous. Is it? You light up when he calls. You smile when the twins tell you about their time with him. You ask me questions about how he looked when I saw him at the store. I'm concerned about his well-being for the twins' sake. Keep telling yourself that. That evening, Barbara was cleaning up the kitchen when her phone rang. Stephen's name appeared on the screen. Hello. Hi. I hope I am not calling too late. It is fine. The twins just went to bed. Good. I wanted to ask you something. What? Next weekend is Halloween. I was wondering if I could take the twins trick-or-treating. Barbara paused. She had been taking the twins trick-or-treating by herself for 9 years. It was one of their traditions. I usually take them, she said. I know, and I do not want to interfere with your tradition. But I was hoping maybe I could come with you, if that would be okay. Barbara was quiet for a moment. You want to come with us? Yes. I want to see them in their costumes. I want to walk around the neighborhood with them. I want to be part of their Halloween. Stephen, that is very domestic. I know, but I want to be part of their lives. All of it, the everyday stuff and the special occasions. Barbara felt her heart flutter. I do not know. Please, Barbara. I promise I will not get in the way. I will follow your lead. I just want to be there. Barbara closed her eyes. What are you dressed as? What? For Halloween. If you are coming with us, you need a costume. I need a costume. Yes, it is tradition. The twins always choose my costume. Stephen was quiet for a moment. What are they going to be? Lisa is going to be a cat. Mark is going to be a superhero. And you? They have not decided yet. Okay. I will let them choose my costume too. Stephen, you do not have to. I want to. I want to do this right. Barbara felt her resolve weakening. Fine. But you follow my rules. We go to the houses I approve of. We stay together, and we are home by 8:30. Deal. And Stephen? Yes. Thank you for wanting to be part of this. It means a lot to them. It means a lot to me too. After hanging up, Barbara sat in her kitchen, staring at the phone. She had just invited Stephen to participate in one of their family traditions. She had just opened the door to him being part of their Halloween, their neighborhood, their life. She was in serious trouble. The next morning, the twins were thrilled to learn that Stephen would be joining them for Halloween. Can we pick his costume? Lisa asked eagerly. He said you could. What should he be? Mark asked. Something funny, Lisa said. Like a pirate or a cowboy, or a superhero like me, Mark suggested, or a cat like me, Lisa countered. Barbara listened to them debate Stephen's costume, her heart full of an emotion she was not ready to name. This was what she had always wanted for her children. Two parents who cared about them, who wanted to be part of their lives, who would argue about Halloween costumes. She was falling in love with Stephen again. Elena was right. Despite all her walls, despite all her fears, despite all her promises to herself, she was falling in love with the man he had become. And that terrified her more than anything else in the world. Halloween night arrived crisp and clear, with a full moon casting long shadows across the neighborhood. Barbara stood in her living room, adjusting her witch costume, while the twins put the finishing touches on their makeup. Are you ready? She called out. Almost, Lisa replied from the bathroom. I need to get my whiskers right. And I need to fix my cape, Mark added from his bedroom. Barbara looked at herself in the mirror, smoothing down the black dress and adjusting the pointed hat. The twins had chosen her costume with great enthusiasm, insisting that she needed to be a good witch rather than a scary witch. The doorbell rang at exactly 6 o'clock. Barbara opened it to find Stephen standing on her porch, wearing a full pirate costume complete with an eye patch, a tricorn hat, and a plastic sword. "Ahoy there, lass," he said in an exaggerated pirate accent. Barbara burst out laughing. "You look ridiculous." The twins insisted I needed to be a pirate, something about it being more fun than a superhero. "Stephen!" Lisa came running down the stairs, her black cat costume complete with painted whiskers and a tail. "You look perfect." "So do you, little cat," Stephen said, kneeling down to her level. "You look absolutely beautiful." Mark appeared in the doorway, wearing a red and blue superhero costume with a cape. "Cool sword. Can I see it?" "Of course, superhero, but be careful, it is very dangerous," Stephen said, handing over the plastic weapon. Barbara watched the interaction, her heart full of warmth. Stephen was completely committed to the role, playing pirate with enthusiasm and joy. "Are we ready for adventure?" Stephen asked, standing up. "Yes!" both twins shouted. They set off down the street, the twins running ahead to the first house, while Stephen and Barbara walked behind them. "You really went all out with the costume," Barbara said. "The twins wanted authenticity. I figured I should deliver. You did not have to buy a whole costume. You could have just worn a hat or something. I wanted to do it right. I wanted them to be proud of me." Barbara looked at him, noting the way he watched the twins with such focus and attention. "They are proud of you." "Are they?" "Yes. They tell everyone at school that their father is taking them trick-or-treating." Stephen's face lit up. "They do?" "Yes." Mark told his teacher that his dad is going to be a pirate. Lisa told her art teacher that her parents are taking her trick-or-treating. Her parents! Barbara realized what she had said. I mean, her mother and father. Not her parents like we are together. Just her mother and father separately. "I know what you meant." But something in Stephen's voice made Barbara think he was hoping for something more. They made their way through the neighborhood, the twins running from house to house with excitement, while Stephen and Barbara followed behind, carrying their growing bags of candy. "This is nice," Stephen said as they walked. "What is?" "This. Being here with you and the twins, feeling like a family." Barbara's heart skipped. "Stephen, we are not a family. We are not a traditional family, but we are connected. We are committed to the same thing." "What is that?" "Making sure Lisa and Mark are happy and healthy and loved." Barbara was quiet for a moment. "Yes, we are committed to that. And we are good at it together. We are learning to be good at it together." "Barbara, can I ask you something?" "What?" "Are you happy? Really happy?" Barbara was quiet for a moment, watching the twins laugh as they compared their candy hauls. "I am content. That is not the same thing. Stephen, we have had this conversation. I know, but I keep thinking about it, about what it would take for you to be truly happy. I am happy when my children are happy. What about when they are not around? What about when they are asleep or at school or with friends? What makes you happy then?" Barbara was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know. Maybe you could figure it out. Maybe I do not want to figure it out. Why not? Because figuring it out might mean wanting things I cannot have." Stephen stopped walking. "What things?" Barbara stopped too, looking at him in the moonlight. "Things like a partner, things like someone to share the parenting with, things like someone to talk to at the end of the day." "Barbara." "Things like falling in love again. Things like trusting someone with my heart again. Things like believing that someone could love me enough to stay." Stephen's eyes were intense in the moonlight. "Someone could love you enough to stay. You do not know that." "Yes, I do. Because I love you enough to stay." Barbara felt her heart stop. "Stephen, do not." "I love you, Barbara. I have always loved you. I made a terrible mistake 10 years ago, but I never stopped loving you. Stephen, please. I love the woman you were when we were married. I love the woman you became after I left. I love the mother you are to our children. I love the strength you have shown and the grace you have given me. Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. Stop. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life proving to you that you can trust me. I want to spend the rest of my life making up for the 10 years I lost. Stephen, you cannot just say that. You cannot just declare that you love me and expect everything to be okay. I know I have to earn it. I know I have to prove it, but I needed you to know. Mom, Stephen, come on! Mark's voice carried across the street. Barbara wiped her eyes quickly. We should catch up with them. Barbara, please. No, we are not doing this now. Not tonight. Not in front of the children. Stephen nodded. You are right. I am sorry. They caught up with the twins, who were excitedly showing off their latest candy acquisitions. Barbara tried to focus on their enthusiasm, but her mind was reeling from Stephen's confession. He loved her. He wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. He wanted to prove that she could trust him. And despite everything she had told herself, despite all her walls and fears and promises, she was beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wanted to let him try. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of houses and candy and laughter. The twins were thrilled with their haul, and Stephen was the perfect pirate, charming neighbors and making the children laugh with his exaggerated accent and dramatic gestures. But Barbara found herself stealing glances at him throughout the evening, seeing him with new eyes. This was the man who had given up his company to be near his children. This was the man who had learned to make pancakes and attended soccer games and dressed up as a pirate for Halloween. This was the man who said he loved her. When they returned home, the twins were exhausted but happy, their bags full of candy and their hearts full of joy. That was the best Halloween ever, Lisa said, hugging Stephen goodbye. It was pretty great, Mark agreed, giving Stephen a high five. Thank you for letting me come with you, Stephen said to Barbara. Thank you for being such a good sport about the costume. It was fun. I had not dressed up for Halloween in probably 20 years, Barbara smiled. You were a very convincing pirate. I had a good time. So did they, and so did I. Stephen's eyes lit up. Did you? Yes, it was nice to share the experience with someone else. Barbara, about what I said earlier. Stephen, I cannot talk about this tonight. I need time to think. Of course, take all the time you need. After Stephen left, Barbara helped the twins sort their candy and get ready for bed. They were still buzzing with excitement, recounting their favorite houses and costumes. Stephen was really funny, Lisa said as Barbara tucked her into bed. He was. I'm glad he came with us. Me too, sweetheart. Mom, do you think Stephen will stay in Portland forever? Barbara's heart clenched. I do not know. Why do you ask? Because I want him to. I want him to be here for next Halloween and Christmas and my birthday. He wants to be here for those things too. What about you? Do you want him to stay? Barbara was quiet for a moment. I want whatever is best for you and Mark. But what do you want? Barbara looked at her daughter's earnest face. I want you to be happy. I want you to have a father who loves you and cares about you. Stephen does love us. Yes, he does. And he loves you too. Barbara's heart skipped. What makes you say that? Because of the way he looks at you, like you are the most important person in the world. Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. Lisa, adult relationships are complicated. Why? Because adults have history. We have hurt each other and made mistakes. It is not as simple as just loving someone. But love is the most important thing, right? Love is very important. But so is trust and respect and commitment. Does Stephen trust and respect and commit to you? Barbara was quiet for a moment. I think he's trying to. Then maybe you should try too. Barbara kissed her daughter's forehead. Maybe I should. After the twins were asleep, Barbara sat in her living room with a cup of tea, replaying the evening in her mind. Stephen's confession, the twins' joy, the feeling of being part of something bigger than herself. For the first time in 10 years, she was beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserved to be happy. And maybe, just maybe, Stephen was the person who could make her happy. But that thought terrified her more than anything else in the world. The next week passed in a strange state of suspended animation. Stephen continued his regular schedule with the twins, but Barbara found herself hyper-aware of every interaction, every word, every glance. He did not bring up his confession again, but she could feel it hanging between them like a question waiting to be answered. "You are distracted," Elena observed as they sat in a coffee shop on Saturday morning while the twins were at Stephen's apartment. "I am not distracted. You have been stirring that latte for 5 minutes. It is going to be cold." Barbara set down her spoon. "Stephen told me he loves me." Elena nearly choked on her coffee. "What?" "On Halloween, he said he loves me and wants to spend the rest of his life proving I can trust him." "Oh my God. What did you say?" "I told him I could not talk about it. Barbara, that man gave up his entire life to move here and be with you and the twins. He dressed up as a pirate for Halloween. He learned to make pancakes. What more do you need?" "I need to know that he will not leave again." "He's not going to leave. You do not know that." "Yes, I do. Because he is not the same man he was 10 years ago, and neither are you." Barbara was quiet for a moment. "I am scared." "Of what?" "Of believing him, of letting myself hope for something that might not work out." "What if it does work out? Then I would have everything I ever wanted." "And that scares you?" "It terrifies me." Elena leaned forward. "Barbara, you have spent 10 years building walls around your heart. You have spent 10 years convincing yourself that you are fine alone, but you are not fine. You are surviving. That is not true. When was the last time you went on a date?" Barbara was quiet. "When was the last time you bought yourself something beautiful just because you wanted it?" "I buy things for myself. Practical things, necessary things. When was the last time you bought yourself flowers or jewelry or a dress that made you feel beautiful?" Barbara was quiet again. "When was the last time you laughed until your stomach hurt?" "I laugh with the twins all the time." "When was the last time you laughed with another adult? When was the last time you had a conversation about something other than work or the children?" Barbara stared at her coffee. "I do not know." "You are 45 years old, Barbara. You have spent 15 years being a mother and 10 years being a single mother. You have earned the right to be happy. I am happy. You are content. There is a difference." "Elena, what if I let myself believe in this and it falls apart? What if I let myself love him again and he decides it is too hard? What if I let the twins believe we are going to be a family and then he leaves? What if you do not let yourself believe in this and you miss out on the best thing that could happen to you?" Barbara was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know how to do this." "Do what?" "Trust someone with my heart again. Let someone else be important to me. Risk everything I have built for something that might not work." "You do not have to risk everything. You just have to risk being happy." "That feels like everything." Elena reached across the table and took Barbara's hand. "What does your heart tell you?" "My heart tells me that I am falling in love with him again. My heart tells me that I want to believe him. My heart tells me that I want to take the risk. Then maybe you should listen to your heart. And if it does not work out, then you will survive. You survived losing him before. You survived raising 2 children alone. You survived building a career and a life and a home. You are stronger than you think." Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. "I am scared. I know. But being scared is not a good enough reason to stay alone for the rest of your life. That afternoon, Barbara picked up the twins from Stephen's apartment. They were full of stories about their morning, chattering about the pancakes Stephen had made and the movie they had watched. "He is getting better at cooking," Lisa reported. "He only burned the edges of the pancakes this time. And he let us help make the bacon," Mark added. Barbara smiled, but she was distracted by the sight of Stephen in his kitchen, wearing an apron and looking domestic and content. "How was your morning?" she asked him. "Good, really good. They helped me organize my spice cabinet." "You have a spice cabinet?" "I bought spices. I'm not sure what to do with them yet, but I bought them." Barbara found herself smiling. "That is progress. I am trying to learn. I bought a cookbook too. And I signed up for a cooking class." "You did?" "Yes, I want to be able to cook for them. I want to be able to take care of them properly." Barbara felt her heart flutter. "That is very thoughtful." "Barbara, could I talk to you for a minute?" While the twins are packing up their things, Barbara's heart started racing. "Okay." They stepped onto Stephen's balcony, which overlooked the river. The view was beautiful, and Barbara found herself imagining what it would be like to have coffee here in the morning, to watch the sunrise over the water. "I want to apologize," Stephen said, "for what I said on Halloween. I should not have put you in that position." "Stephen, I meant every word, but I should not have said it then, in that moment. I should have waited for a better time." "When would have been a better time?" "When you were ready to hear it." Barbara was quiet for a moment. "What if I am never ready to hear it?" "Then I will wait." "For how long?" "For as long as it takes." Barbara looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. "Stephen, I need you to understand something. I am not the same person I was 10 years ago." "I know. I am not going to be the wife I was before. I'm not going to give up my career or my independence or my life to be part of yours. I would never ask you to. I am not going to be the woman who waits for you to come home from business trips or who plans her life around your schedule. I do not want you to be that woman. Then what do you want? I want you to be exactly who you are. I want you to be the strong, independent, successful woman you have become. I want you to be the incredible mother you are to our children. And I want you to let me be part of your life. I want you to let me love you the way you deserve to be loved." Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. "How do I deserve to be loved?" "Like you are the most important person in the world. Like you are beautiful and smart and funny and strong. Like you are worth changing my entire life for." "Stephen, you cannot just say these things." "Why not?" "Because they make me want to believe you. They make me want to trust you. They make me want to take the risk." "Then take the risk." "It is not that simple." "It could be." Barbara was quiet for a long moment, looking out over the river. "What would it look like if I said yes?" "It would look like whatever you wanted it to look like. We could take it slow. We could date. We could figure out how to blend our lives together without losing ourselves. And if it does not work, then we will figure out how to co-parent respectfully. The twins will not suffer because of our relationship. You promise?" "I promise." Barbara turned to face him. "Stephen, I am scared." "I know, so am I." "You are?" "Terrified, because I know this is my only chance. I know that if I mess this up, I will lose you forever." "Then do not mess it up." Stephen's eyes lit up. "Does that mean you are willing to try?" Barbara took a deep breath. "I am willing to think about it. That is all I can ask for." "Stephen, I need time. I need to figure out how to do this without losing myself or compromising my children's happiness. Take all the time you need. And I need you to be patient. I need you to let me set the pace. Of course. and I need you to understand that I might change my mind. I might decide that I cannot do this after all." "I understand." Barbara looked at him for a long moment. "I have one more condition." "What?" "If we do this, if we try this, you have to promise me that you will be honest with me. About everything. About your feelings, your fears, your doubts. I cannot handle any more secrets or surprises. I promise. And you have to promise me that you will put the twins first. Always. Even if it means sacrificing what you want. I promise. And you have to promise me that if you decide you do not want this life, if you decide that being a father and a partner is too hard, you will tell me honestly instead of just disappearing. I promise. But Barbara, I am not going to change my mind. This is what I want. You are what I want. This life is what I want. Barbara felt her heart skip. How do you know? Because I have spent 10 years trying to be happy without you. I've spent 10 years trying to convince myself that success and money and achievement were enough, and they were not. They will never be enough. Stephen, I know what I am giving up. I know what I am risking, and I know that it is worth it. Barbara was quiet for a long moment. I need to think about this. I know. I need to talk to the twins. I need to make sure they are okay with the idea of us trying to be together. Of course. And I need to figure out how to protect myself, how to keep some part of my heart safe in case this does not work out. I understand. Barbara looked at him, seeing the hope and fear warring in his eyes. Give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks to think about it, to figure out what I want. To decide if I am brave enough to take this risk. Okay. And Stephen, yes, thank you for being patient, for being honest, for giving me the choice. Thank you for considering it. Barbara nodded and turned to go inside. At the door, she paused. Stephen? Yes. I want this to work. I want to believe in us again. I just need to figure out how. Stephen's smile was like sunshine breaking through clouds. That is all I need to know. The next 2 weeks were the longest of Barbara's life. She found herself analyzing every interaction with Stephen, every conversation, every shared moment with the twins. She talked to Elena, to her therapist, to her own reflection in the mirror late at night. The twins, meanwhile, seemed to sense that something was changing. They were more affectionate with both Barbara and Stephen, more careful about mentioning their father in front of their mother, more attentive to the undercurrents of emotion swirling around them. Are you and Stephen going to get married again? Lisa asked one evening as Barbara tucked her into bed. I do not know, sweetheart. Why do you ask? Because you both seem different, happier and sadder at the same time. Barbara sat down on the edge of Lisa's bed. Lisa, how would you feel if Stephen and I decided to try to be together again? Like boyfriend and girlfriend? Like boyfriend and girlfriend, maybe more eventually. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Would he live with us? Maybe, eventually, if things worked out. Would you get married again? I do not know. Maybe. Would we be a real family? Barbara's heart clenched. We are already a real family, sweetheart. You and Mark and I, but we would be a different kind of family. Yes, we would. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. I think I would like that. You would? Yes. I like Stephen, and I like how happy you are when he is around. Am I happy when he is around? Yes, you smile more, you laugh more, you seem less worried. Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. What if it does not work out? What if Stephen and I try to be together and it does not work? Then we would still be a family, you and me and Mark, and Stephen would still be our dad. You are very wise, you know that. I get it from my mom. The next morning, Barbara had a similar conversation with Mark, who was characteristically direct. Do you love Stephen? he asked over breakfast. That is a very big question, Mark. But do you? Barbara was quiet for a moment. I think I do, but it is complicated. Why? Because Stephen and I have a history. We have hurt each other before. But people can change, right? Yes, people can change. And people can forgive each other. Yes, they can. Then why is it complicated? Barbara smiled at her son's logic. Because sometimes loving someone means risking being hurt again. But sometimes it means being happy, right? Yes, sometimes it does. Then you should try. You should risk being happy. What if it does not work out? Then at least you tried, and you will still have me and Lisa. You are very wise too. I get it from my mom. That weekend, Barbara made her decision. She called Stephen and asked him to come over after the twins went to bed. She needed to have this conversation in her own space, surrounded by the life she had built for herself and her children. Stephen arrived at exactly 8 o'clock, carrying a small bouquet of flowers. These are for you, he said, offering her the flowers, not because I'm trying to influence your decision, but because I thought you might like them. Barbara took the flowers, noting that they were tulips, her favorite. Thank you. They are beautiful. So are you. Barbara felt her heart skip. Stephen, do not start with the charm. I need to have a serious conversation with you. Of course, I am sorry. They sat in her living room, the same room where they had had their first serious conversation about boundaries. But this time, the atmosphere was different. This time, they were both more vulnerable, more honest, more open. I've been thinking about what you said, Barbara began, about loving me, about wanting to try again. And I have been thinking about what I want, what I need, what I am afraid of. Stephen was quiet, waiting for her to continue. I talked to the twins. They want us to try. They want to be a family. And you? I want to try too. Stephen's face lit up. You do? Yes. But I have conditions. Of course. What do you need? I need us to take this slowly. I need us to date like normal people do, not like people who were married before and have children together. Okay. I need you to court me. I need you to show me that you want me, not just the idea of having a family. I can do that. And I need you to understand that I'm not going to move in with you or get married anytime soon. I need time to rebuild trust. I need time to figure out how to be in a relationship again. I understand. And I need you to promise me that you will be honest with me about everything, about your feelings, your doubts, your fears. I cannot handle any more secrets. I promise. Barbara took a deep breath. And I need you to understand that I am not the same woman I was 10 years ago. I am not going to be the accommodating wife I was before. I am not going to give up my career, or my independence, or my life to be part of yours. I do not want you to be that woman. I want you to be exactly who you are. Stephen, I am successful. I am independent. I am strong. I'm not going to need you to take care of me. I know and I love that about you. And I am not going to be available whenever you want me to be. I have a life, a career, responsibilities. I am not going to drop everything to be with you. I understand. And I am not going to have sex with you just because we're trying to be together. I need to rebuild emotional intimacy before we rebuild physical intimacy. Stephen nodded. That makes sense. And I need you to understand that I might change my mind. I might decide that I cannot do this after all. I understand. Barbara looked at him for a long moment. Do you really understand what you are signing up for? I am signing up for the chance to love you the way you deserve to be loved. I am signing up for the chance to be the partner you need me to be. I'm signing up for the chance to build a life with you and our children. And if it is harder than you think, then I will work harder. And if I am more difficult than you remember, then I will be more patient. And if the twins need more from you than you expected, then I will give them more. Barbara felt tears prick her eyes. Stephen, I am scared. I know, so am I. What if we hurt each other again? Then we will figure out how to heal. Together. What if we cannot make it work? Then we will know that we tried, and we will figure out how to co-parent respectfully. Barbara was quiet for a long moment. I have one more condition. What? I want you to go to therapy, individual therapy, to work through your issues and figure out how to be a better partner. I am already in therapy. You are. I started 3 weeks ago. I want to understand why I made the choices I made 10 years ago. I want to make sure I do not make them again. Barbara felt a surge of hope. Really? Really? I want to be the best version of myself for you and for the twins. Stephen, I need you to know something. What? I am falling in love with you again. Despite everything I have told myself, despite all my fears, despite all my walls, I am falling in love with the man you have become. Stephen's eyes filled with tears. Barbara, but I need you to know that I am terrified. I'm terrified of trusting you with my heart again. I'm terrified of believing that this could work. I know. And I need you to be patient with me. I need you to understand that I'm going to be scared and cautious and probably difficult. I can be patient. And I need you to prove to me every day that you love me, not just with words, but with actions. I will. Barbara took a deep breath. Okay. Okay? Okay. Let us try. Let us see if we can make this work. Stephen's smile was like sunshine breaking through storm clouds. Really? Really? But Stephen, I need you to understand that this is not a promise. This is not a guarantee. This is just a chance. A chance is all I need. Then let us take it one day at a time. One day at a time. Barbara looked at him, seeing the hope and love and determination in his eyes. Stephen. Yes. Kiss me. Stephen moved closer, his hands cupping her face gently. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. And when he kissed her, it was like coming home. It was like finding a piece of herself she had lost 10 years ago. It was like believing in love again. When they broke apart, Barbara rested her forehead against his. We are really doing this, she whispered. We are really doing this. I am terrified. Me too. But I am also hopeful. Me too. Stephen? Yes, I love you too. And as they sat in her living room, holding each other and talking about their future, Barbara realized that she was not just content anymore. She was not just surviving. She was happy. She was truly, deeply, completely happy. And for the first time in 10 years, she was willing to believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserved to be. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Leave a like and comment below what you thought of the story. See you in the next video.